What's up, everyone? Welcome back. It's Monday, August 14th. Happy that you are back. Hope you had a great weekend. I was actually at my nephew's birthday party out on the West Coast. A little jet lagged back here in New York, but ready to go. I think today's session was pretty clear as far as the direction, and there was a little bit tricky of a close, and I'll cover that. But let's jump right into it. I'm going to keep this brief as I can. But looking at the breadth numbers, we had 98 new highs, 278 new lows. 39% of the shares were advancing versus 56% declining. What I noticed in the morning that the red open initially was reversed pretty much in its entirety by 10:30 a.m. New York. And what was really strong all day were the semiconductors, SMH, the NVDA type names. And around 11:07, it started to drag up all of the indices up. But then when I took a look at the breadth charts, the ES was running right into that 4,500 plateau resistance, and then the declining was up from the morning, but it was still like negative 1,000 as far as issues. And then when you look at the volume of declining on the NYSE, it was still pinned to negative. So that was signaling that this might have been a weaker than indicated bounce, and I was distrustful of it around lunchtime. And then I just kind of watched and let it unfold in the afternoon. And I put out a note on Substack Notes. I'm just going to quote here: into the close action, this is why I watch breadth and volume of breadth. Nice little rally into the close on worsening breadth, and the breadth actually closed at the low, the volume, but we closed on the ES at the high. So there's a little bit of a divergence here. One of them is lying. So watch out for the open tomorrow on Tuesday, August 15th. And we'll see which of the two was telling the truth. Just kind of taking a quick look at the Magnificent Seven. Right now you have Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla under the 50-day. So that's not really good news. So Apple is right at 179. We can potentially bounce up to the 50-day moving average, which right now is sitting at 187, or we can keep going further south and meet the 200-day, which is at 160. My hunch is that we're going to go to 160 on that, just from the previous action and the negative divergences. Amazon is still sitting pretty high and tight on this gap up. We closed at 140.55, well above the 50-day moving average. It's probably the most bullish of all of the Magnificent Seven. Google, same thing, well above the 50-day moving average, and right now it's sitting tight. Meta is sort of testing the 50-day. Not so much. The 50-day moving average is at 294. We closed today at 306. But watch if we get any closer to that 300-day or if we start to rally. Microsoft, as I mentioned, is kind of at risk here. The 50-day moving average is sloping downward, so we may backtest that before we go further south. But it just seems like the AI story is getting a little fatigued here. NVIDIA was below the 50-day, but today it was able to backtest as well as exceed that. NVIDIA closed at 437 and 62 cents. The 50-day is at 430.89. And then lastly, of the Magnificent Seven, you have Tesla, which is under the 50-day. It could potentially backtest it and go up further to 260, but it looks really weak here at 239 on the close. I think it's probably more likely than not that we're going to go down to test that 200-day moving average unless serious buyers come back with the risk appetite here. It's going to be a short one today. I really think it's going to be a story about the FOMC minutes on Wednesday. It's going to all be based on, are they hawkish or dovish, and the market's reaction to that. One other thing that I want to point out is the 10-year yield is still very elevated, and mortgage rates right now are at near record highs. Like the 30-year fixed mortgage is 7.24%. The 30-year jumbo, that's mortgages over 600K, that's at 7.25%. So the cost or the affordability of buying a home with a mortgage is at near all-time record lows, and the mortgage application numbers are as low as 1995 data. So, I think there's some macro headwinds. When I take a look at the heat map, a lot of the risk shares were green, but not by much. Like, I'll give you an example. Microsoft up 1%, Apple up 1%. NVIDIA was super strong. As I mentioned, it bounced back above the 50-day. It was up 7% today, and that pulled up the semis, as I mentioned. But everything was like kind of like a 0.8% up or 0.8% down. Some of the bank shares, like Bank of America, was down 1.1%. But I didn't see any crazy movements today of the mega caps. So today was kind of like a ease back into the weekday type of day. Let's see how we do tomorrow. But Wednesday is the main event with the FOMC minutes. And I don't know if you know this, but Substack Notes released the ability to follow Substackers today. So what that means is you can go to Substack, and rather than just subscribe to my Substack, you can now also follow the notes, which is very similar to Twitter. And you can just follow people that you enjoy to read on Substack. So please check that out. I will post a link in the show notes. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you on the next one.